Hello my dear friends, and welcome to my channel. Don't forget to make yourself a cup of tea with snacks if you want, because today we have very interesting stories, and one of them is a story about an OP who adopted his brother and hid the truth to protect him. Please subscribe if you haven't, and I hope you'll enjoy it. I was born when my parents were both 19, and my only other brother, let's call him Josh, was born when they were 42. They divorced shortly after Josh was introduced to the world. He was 4 months old at the time, and they both wanted nothing to do with the child. At the time, I was 23, and I was living alone with my then girlfriend who was 21, now my wife, and I'd done my best to convince at least one of them to take care of young Josh for his sake and the family's sake, but they refused adamantly and said that I should be taking custody of him instead. So I became legal guardian of my brother, and he's been living with us for the past 12 years, and things have been going really smooth for us. Josh, now almost 13, has been calling me dad and my wife mom and our 2 children, 4F, 9M, his siblings, and he has absolutely no idea about his real parents, and to be honest, I let all of that slide. He has no idea that I'm really his blood brother and not his father, and I'm starting to feel guilty and a little weird. Some of my uncles and aunts come to visit occasionally, and they are really disgusted at the fact he calls me dad, and they are surprised I haven't told him the truth. They constantly message me, talk to me in private, and I cannot chat to them without this one particular topic rising up, badgering me to let him know already, but I refused. I discussed this with my wife, and she thought it would be wrong to tell him the truth because none of my parents wanted to take care of him, and I'm the only person in the world who gave him the father figure everyone deserves. I feel that he has the right to know what he is to me and what I truly am to him, but he's suffered enough already, and I just want things to continue how it is. I'd whipped if I let him know the truth. Update. About 70% of the comments are advising me to tell my son who I really am to him, and some are saying sooner than later. I've just got up to discuss this with my wife, and now after a lot of hesitation, we've decided that it's best the truth comes from us, and it has to come now. Right now, it's late for us, but we shall address this to him first thing this week, or even tomorrow. This is a good topic to discuss with a therapist or counselor that specializes in adoption-related issues. My understanding is that it can be very distressing to a child or adult to abruptly find out that they've been adopted. Most things I have read indicate it's best to let the child know early on that they came from a different mommy's tummy and then went to their mommy and daddy, or something along those lines. Your brother is past that point. But you are better off acting on this sooner than later. It's better that he find out from you and your wife. Otherwise, eventually someone is going to spill the beans. Not the idiot. Idiots are your nosy uncles and aunts. You've raised him since he was a baby. You're the only paternal, and your wife, maternal, figure he has known. But I think you'll shock him, if not turn his world upside down. But given your family dynamic, it very well might be that these uncles and aunts do it because they feel he should know. So it might be best if he heard it coming from you. No idiots here. I think this is above our pay grade. There is so much to consider in telling or not telling. Ultimately, I think the truth is best because at some point he is going to find out anyways. But be ready for a lot of backlash if you tell him. He is going to feel angry and hurt and abandoned by his bio parents. When it comes right down to it, you are his dad, even if you are biologically his brother as well. And good for you for stepping in and being there for him. Update 2. I went to my local therapist and told him about my situation and asked what to do. To keep it short, he said he's heard similar recounts from before and said it is best if I tell him as soon as possible for multiple reasons and to make sure that my bio children are present, multiple reasons. I asked a few of my closest friends, and the majority said more or less the same thing. My wife and I decided to sit the kids down and burst a big bubble. I asked my brother Josh to come closer, and I made sure I held him close and make him feel comfortable. He asked what's going on. But I started by telling us how much we cared and loved for him, then told him everything about my parents. I put them in a bright light in hopes of a reunion and who I am to him, then quickly hugged him and my other 2 kids together and told him that I love all my children the same and nothing is going to change my love for him. He was shocked and asked if I was joking, but I was starting to cry a little at this point, so he knew I was serious. My bio children were very surprised too. He was in tears and asked me why I didn't tell him sooner. I didn't know what to say and said, "I was just trying to protect you, I'm sorry and I hope you can forgive me," but unfortunately and understandably, he left. He didn't talk to me as much, again, understandably so. I continuously offered him to go out to the park and play a bit of football, he loves that and all his favorite things, but he just outright declined and even got a little angry sometimes for me even talking to him. I thought I messed up big time until one day, while my wife and 2 children were out doing shopping and we were alone, he came up to me and said, "I know you're not my real father, but I want to let you know you're the best dad in the whole world. Sorry for before." I hugged him and things got pretty emotional. It would be a big lie to say my house is normal now, far from that, but things are slowly, ever so slowly, starting to brighten up. There's no longer anything to hide anymore and it feels like we are born again. Josh is a tough kid and he handled this far better than I believed he would. I'll be looking into therapy for him to help him recover just in case it doesn't go well in the long run. I'll strive and continue to be a great dad to my kids and a great dad to my brother's son. Thank you for pushing me towards this happy ending. I'm so happy for you, OP. You did your best to protect and raise your brother, and now brother it's just a word, because he's your son and that's it. And your son handled that information very well. I wish you and your family the best, OP. My daughter is 16 and will be 17 in August. In September, I'm going to move her across the country because she will be starting college at a very good school. She skipped a grade, graduated HS a year earlier than her peers. Last week my daughter graduated HS. We packed up her room, the essentials, from her mom's house, divorced, as she won't be going back to live there, we're going straight from my house to her college dorm. A few days ago, my daughter asks me for a ride to my friend Tony's house because she is getting a tattoo. I was surprised because she never mentioned this to me before. It was definitely framed to me as if this was already approved, she just wanted to go with me to get it done. We stayed up all night looking at designs, coming up with colorways, shading, and deciding on location. The next day we went to Tony's and she got a small 2x4 tattoo above her ankle. I've known Tony since high school, he's been a tattoo artist for 20 years. I completely trust everything he's associated with when it comes to tattoos. He even did my first tattoo when we were in high school. The entire experience was actually a blast for me. I haven't felt that close to my daughter in years, we really bonded over the whole thing. To see the guy who gave me my first tat also give her her first made me shed a tear. Of course the next day she posts pics online and her mom flips her crap. She calls me screaming about how irresponsible I am. I honestly didn't know her mom wouldn't be okay with it. She has tried her hardest to cut me out of all decision making about daughter, so the norm is they make the decisions amongst themselves and I'm just sometimes along for the ride and to pay. She's also cut me out of multiple milestones in daughter's life. Graduations, performances, games, etc. Until daughter was old enough to tell me directly, I was never invited, so I missed a lot of moments. Obviously daughter was aware of this, which is why she simply stated to me, "I'm getting a tattoo," instead of asking me. I definitely reprimanded her for misleading me, but otherwise, what's the big deal? Wife has been okay with her having love since 13, picked her own high school and college, is fine with her moving across the country in a few months to attend and live by herself. Why are we acting like she is not capable of deciding this on her own? Would it be better if she gets it done 5 months from now from some crappy kid doing tats out his dorm room with used needles? Mom is livid. She threatened to call the police. Threatened to pick up daughter and bring her back to her house. Tried to make me take her to get the tattoo removed. None of this is happening. A culture was created in which I don't get input on things regarding daughter. A culture was created in which mom allowed daughter to make decisions for herself. Am I the idiot here for not double checking with mom that a tattoo is okay? Let's see. You were not without blame here, insofar as you just took your daughter at her word without making any inquiries. I mean, it sounds like you didn't ask her a single "wait, what?" kind of question when she said she's getting a tattoo. And your title with quotes around allowing isn't great since you're suggesting you didn't allow it, but rather were misled into allowing it, and that's not taking proper responsibility for what happened here. Given the broader context you described though, it seems like that tattoo was gonna be happening one way or the other, either here with a trusted artist or once daughter moves away to college. On balance I'm going to say not the idiot. Wife sounds like she is overreacting under the circumstances. Not the idiot. It was crappy of your daughter to mislead you, but it's a tattoo, and this is 2019. People act like they're the mark of the freaking devil. If she's adult enough to go to college, she's adult enough to make decisions about her own body, especially since, as you said, she's been making decisions about her body from a young age. Her mother needs to chill the hell out. It happened. The police aren't going to care. Getting it removed is asinine. Should you have checked in? Probably. But it's done, and I'm glad you and your daughter had that moment. Well, I think there are no idiots here. It's understandable that mom is pissed. A tattoo is a big decision, and she probably feels that she wants some impact on her child's decision making. However, if your daughter understood what getting a tattoo meant, taking her to a professional is the best option. It feels like one of those situations where everyone is kind of in the right but still causes problems. The way mom is handling it is an idiot move. Myself and my BF Mike are expecting our first baby. My baby shower is tomorrow, and it will be held at Mike's mom's house. It will be his mom, mine, his sister, my sister, and a few of our friends. However, my brother Tom and my mom really want me to also invite Tom's girlfriend of the past year, Jess. I don't have a problem with this, as Jess is a nice person who I get along really well with. However, there is one issue that may come up at Mike's mom's place. Jess is a very glamorous person, and I'd go as far as to call her fashion conscious. She is always immaculately dressed and in particular is a huge shoe fan. She loves her heels and wears them constantly. She claims that she doesn't feel like herself when she's not wearing them and doesn't actually own any flat shoes. She wears her heels at home, and nobody minds when she keeps them on at Tom's place or at my parents'. Mike's parents have flooring that would be damaged by walking around on it in stiletto heels, the kind Jess likes. She could switch to wedges, but either way they have a pretty firm shoes off at the door rule. I told Jess this when I texted her to invite her, but the response I got was I'm not walking around barefoot. I tried to reason with her, but she hasn't responded to my texts. Tom has been pestering me, begging me to make an exception for Jess, saying that her shoes are part of her style, which is part of who she is, and that it's not fair for me to tell her to walk around without them. At the end of the day, I'm following Mike's parents' rules, which they made for good reason. Maybe I was a little too harsh, but if they've stated they don't want someone walking around their home in heels, then who am I to allow that? It's not like Jess needs her heels to walk. If she wants to come, which she does, then surely she can manage without her heels for a few hours. I've said this to Tom, but he still thinks I'm being unreasonable. Not the idiot. You're definitely not an idiot, because it sounds like you're just the middleman stuck between two parties' ultimatums. Mike's mom isn't an idiot because she has a legitimate reason as to why heels cannot be worn with no pettiness or ill nature involved. Jess and Tom are most definitely idiots because they don't get to decide the rules at somebody else's house, and if they can't honor another household's rules, they have no business there. Not the idiot. She won't walk around barefoot in the house. Is she missing toes or horribly deformed? Or is she just too insecure to let her image slip for an hour or two? She sounds vain, pretentious, and idiotic to me. That being said, if Mike's parents have a no shoes in the house rule, they need to be there to enforce it on the day of the baby shower. Warn them about Jess and her refusal to take off her heels so they can take appropriate measures to protect their flooring. When little Miss Heels shows up for the shower, they can offer her a pair of flats or slippers to borrow if she's that self-conscious about her feet. If she refuses, it's their right not to allow her in their home. Is this seriously the issue you are devoting time and energy to? Invite her. If she shows up and won't take off her shoes, she will look like an butthead. If she runs the floor, she will be an inconsiderate butthead who is paying to repair the floor covering. Although what kind of flooring can't stand up to shoes? Just enjoy being pregnant. When the baby gets here, all this stuff will be long forgotten. I have a coworker, Bill, who supports his wife and 30-year-old son. Bill's a hard-working guy who puts in 60 hours a week. Well, lately Bill had some financial emergencies and basically drained his savings and is afraid that in a few months he won't be able to make his house payments. Bill's son Ned is my age. We grew up together and were pretty close until a few years ago when he withdrew from a lot of his social circles. We still talk and hang out occasionally, but nothing like we used to. Ned hasn't had a job since he was 18 and has lived off an allowance from Bill in exchange for doing chores around the house since his mother is too physically ill to do much around the house anymore. Bill has admitted to me that life would be so much easier if Ned would just get even a part-time job to help out a bit with the bills, but Ned just refuses. Well, as Bill was telling me about his financial trouble, I remembered Ned's rather large collection of Magic the Gathering cards. We used to play a lot, and a few months ago I remember going through his binder of his rarest and most valuable cards. For example, to those of you who know MTG, he has a full playset of most of the original Alpha Beta Dual lands, a couple Power 9 cards, and a bunch of others. His entire collection is easily worth over $100,000. I told Bill about this and he didn't believe me at first. Thought I was just making a joke, but I sat him down and explained that with how well he's taken care of those cards over the years, they are probably mostly in good condition and worth hundreds if not thousands for certain cards. Bill just sorta sat there stunned for a minute before going back to his office. Well, he must have said something to Ned, because I got a message on Facebook from Ned where he told me that I was a piece of crap for telling his dad about the cards and that he's now harassing him and threatening to kick him out if he doesn't either find a job or sell the cards. I told him that he should probably get a job then and blocked him because I didn't want to be attacked anymore. Part of me feels justified because Ned really should get a job and help Bill out, but then again, was it none of my business? Should I have just kept it to myself and not tried to help, especially if it is going to cause turmoil in the family? I'm really torn here. Everyone's the idiot here. Except Bill. I personally get why you did what you did. I don't think it's morally wrong of you. But you have to know that if you involve yourself into another family's business or another person's business, you will have someone who's mad at you. You can't expect to drop a bomb like that and not have any debris hit you, you know. Getting involved in other people's private lives and telling on people means you have to be okay with said person hating you. You made waves in that family, and that's going to have an effect on how they view you. You just kind of have to accept it and move on. I understand why you told Bill. Ned deserves it, IMO. But you gotta be okay with being an idiot on some things. Not the idiot, with a hint of everyone's the idiot here. Yeah, it's a bit wrong to rat him out and get into their family business. But the dude clearly isn't seeing the problem here and needs to. The way I see it is, would Ned buy $100,000 worth of trading cards if all he had was exactly $100,000? Probably not. Dude needs to see it for what it is, give up on his nostalgia sentimental feelings about the cards, make some money off it, and use it to start getting his adult life together. One could argue that holding on to them could further increase their value, but from the sounds of it, it's time to cash out and learn to save and spend money wisely. Bill won't be around to support him forever. Ned is 30 years old and hasn't had an actual job since 18. The guy needs to grow up and move out. Bill has been working 60 hours and still is having financial troubles. Ned is a man-child at this point. He should just find a job and finally move out, but it is gonna be harder since he never had a job for 12 years. Well guys, that's it for today. If you end up enjoying this video, please consider subscribing, and if you missed the last episode on the channel, I'm gonna link it right here. The story is about a woman who sneaked into a pool without a pool pass, so she decided to sacrifice her child's life to hide the truth. Check this out if you haven't, and I'll see you in my next video.